Howdy, folks. I got a new dash cam, so hopefully y'all can see me better and at a better angle. In any case, just like the title suggests, I'm speaking on the topic of Kim Clement and what's his face over in India that he's English speaking, comes here to the USA and does worship and preaching tours. And you even got YouTubers like the guy that has the God Rules channel. That's capital G O D rules all in everything but the G is in lowercase, right? And I'm not crapping on the guy, but what I'm pointing out is that we've had a lot of false prophets here in the United States exposed. And because they all had these prophecies about how Trump was going to get reelected, and a lot of people believed them, and I wasn't so sure. And me and some other Christians, we were talking on the net before the election happened, and we said, you know, I'm pretty sure these guys are, the only way we're going to be able to tell if these guys are false prophets and if what they say can be trustworthy is if Trump is reelected. And I've spoken to a lot of folks. They're like, I sincerely hope that he is. And so Trump wasn't reelected. Biden was put into power. He's written like 30 executive orders in the first week of his presidency, selling the country to international corporations and foreign governments, right? Like pulling the carpet right out from under the American people's feet. Trump gave up without a fight. He gave up without using his power. Uh, the power that God gave him in his authority to protect the people from basically the forces that are setting up the world stage for the Antichrist. And he didn't do that. So Trump's betrayal of the people was just as great, if not greater, than Mike Pence's betrayal of Trump. And be perfectly honest, Trump has done really nothing for the American people outside of make our economy better and make our dollar worth a little bit more. He hasn't really done anything for our freedom. He hasn't gone after he never went after the deep state actors or drained the swamp. In fact, he hired the swamp to his administration because for the same reason that he refused to pardon Julian Assange or Edward Snowden, is the same reason why he kept hiring the swamp to his administration, is that he wanted to play ball with the GOP and play the game by their rules, and so he did what he wanted them to. And for the same reason why he kept hiring the swamp to his administration is the same reason he didn't pardon these folks, is because it would have pissed off the establishment Republican Party if he hadn't. And so he allowed himself to be pressured into hiring the swamp to his administration, who betrayed him and fucked him over at every turn and point. And he allowed himself to be blackmailed by Mitch McConnell, Mr. Turtle, into not pardoning two innocent men who did their patriotic duty exposing tyrannical government that was spying on their own people and screwing over their own people for their own financial benefit and for the gaining of their own power. And Trump chose to do the wrong thing at the right time. And people, they still believe that QAnon and Trump is going to save their asses. They started buying into this Patriot Party, and about about 2 weeks after the idea of this Patriot Party was floating around and that Trump was going to lead it, Trump's fucking his team, his political cabinet team, spoke on behalf of Trump with Trump's express permission and says that I'm not forming a Patriot Party. I'm not having nothing to do with this Patriot Party. This Patriot Party was started by one of my supporters who's a QAnon follower, and I'm not having nothing to do with it. Y'all need to cut it out. So, not only has the guy failed to perform his duty to protect the people from the oligarchy, but when one of his followers wants to make a third party outside of the Republican Party to effectively make change, he disavows them. Just like he disavowed the people who protested and some of them even rioted in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Trump is a coward and he's betrayed you. But what amazes me is how many Christians are still out there that are blindly refusing to see with what is in front of their own eyes. And instead, they choose to see this fantasy of what they want to see. They instead of seeing Trump for the fucking coward that was rightfully had that power that God gave him taken away from him. And make no mistake, because of his inaction and cowardice, God took that position of power away from him. You know, Yahweh did that. Yahweh allowed the Democrats to do their corrupt voter stealing and crap. Because if you really think about it, if you really believed in God and believed in Jesus Christ, and with as many people that were praying Trump would have gotten into office, do you think that Biden really would have gotten into office if it wasn't God's will? Do you really think that this corrupt tyrant that is robbing and raping the people of all their wealth and turning all the weapons of the state on them, do you think that wouldn't have happened if God was not passing judgment on the United States? Most people don't want to hear it, but then again, most people in Sodom and Gomorrah didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear that what they were doing was wrong and that God was judging them until the sulfur and stones began, the sulfur stones and fire began raining down from the heavens. You know, the people, as Noah was building the ark, they didn't want to hear about how they were living sinful lives until the rain started. They didn't give a shit about anybody rebuking them. They didn't want to hear about how there was judgment until it was already too late. The people of Israel didn't want to hear about how they were being judged by Yahweh, by Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the I am what I am. They didn't want to hear about how he was going to judge them and send them out into exile for sacrificing their children to Moloch and for worshiping idols and false deities. Until the day the Babylonians came, put them to the sword, and took them into captivity. And in that very same sense, unlike a false prophet, I don't call myself a prophet, but I'm going to make a prophecy. I'm going to make a prophecy that the people of the United States are going to continue to turn to political means to try to solve their spiritual problem of this corrupt culture. They're going to continue to harden their hearts against God, giving in marriage, eating and drinking and partying. They're going to continue to do everything but turn their hearts to God until the day that a great whirlwind that sits atop, there's a great angel of death, like the angel of death that came and took the firstborn of that of Egypt. The American people will not repent. And when they see that angel of death that rides on the whirlwind, it's going to be too late. Only the people that are already grasping at the rock, which is Jesus Christ, are going to be spared from the fate that Yahweh has in store for the United States of America and its people.